Hey, my friends. Oh my God. What a garbage week this was. I know I'm not alone in feeling that way, but mail. This is a good mail week. So I have a deck to share with you. And this is the Rainbow Seekers Tarot by Henson Wongai-Ham. And I'm delighted to share it with you. And I'll link the artist's webpage below. And so I ordered this recently, and this is a independently produced deck. The artist lives in the Philippines and is donating all the proceeds to LGBTQ plus organizations. And so love that as a idea generally, but also I really like this deck a lot. And so I'm going to share that with you. Now, it came with a couple extra goodies, and these are the When Oracle. And so they're basically the same thing, but this is the When Oracle second edition, and it's a limited edition. And then this is the rainbow version of the same thing. And so this is by Leds Lim and Henson Wongai-Ham. And so this is beautiful artwork, just to show you really quickly. And it's just a small oracle deck, a better time awaits, later, soon, it's almost time, now, Kairos, make haste before it's too late. And I really like the images here. Now, this is not an unboxing. I have looked at all this already, but I did replace the sleeves on the two oracle decks because it was easier to do. I couldn't do it for the whole tarot deck, but so this is that same oracle, but with the rainbow style of art that the tarot deck makes use of. And the artwork is very neutral. So this is one thing that drew me to this deck. Now, I know, I can already anticipate the comments that I'll get, which is like, oh, it's very sort of geometric and it's cool looking, but I don't know if I could read with it. Like I always say lately, or not like I always say, but like I've been saying lately, I really am appreciating neutral decks. So really the only thing I would change about this is that I really do look at where figures are looking in readings, or pointing anyway, and there's not a lot of pointing, at least using a spread the way that I normally would do. But aside from that, I think it's great. And it has this beautiful neutrality. And what I also appreciate about what this artist has done is, this is something I really admire about creators when they're like, look, here's this thing that I want and it's not out there. And maybe I don't have the artistic abilities I wish I did, but let me work with what I have and create something that fits the need that I want from a deck in this case. But it could be anything, a book, a movie, whatever. And I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to make it available. And if other people resonate with it, then great. And if they don't, fine. But I really do like this a lot. Now, I initially saw this. I think it was Casper. Was Casper that did a walkthrough of this? I should look. Actually, let's find out. Ah, boy. I mean, when I tell you this was an awful week, it was an awful week. Yes, I was right. That is where I saw it. So Casper had a walkthrough of this, and I said, aha! And so then I went to Instagram to follow the creator. And so I love this box. I love that it's sort of just it's not a laminated box. It's like a very natural paper, which I think is cool. And I love this drawer style box. So inside it says love is love is love is love, which we love. There's a guidebook, which gives a little background, and why the deck was created and how it was created, and then keywords for the cards about the creator and some spreads that you can work with. And then there's the title card, and here's the deck, and this is the back, which I really like a lot. Cardstock's interesting. I don't think I've really encountered cardstock like this before. It's thick. It's like a thick deck, but it's really bendy. So it's got like a nice kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like a give to it. So that I haven't shuffled this yet because I didn't want to have to put it back in order later. But it is here, and I will shuffle it for you. So here's the Fool, and this is this really, I think, just this clever use of shapes and geometry in order to create, really, you know, if you're looking closely, this is very Rider-Waite-Smith. But as I always say, I'm always looking for elasticity in a deck, and I think that one of the things that this allows for is that elasticity, is to sort of have a sense of the tradition, but it's not an imposition of that tradition or of Waite-Smith, etc. So you get this sense of human shapes without it necessarily being representational. And that I find definitely really cool. And then, of course, there are times like this where it's much more, you know, suggestive of human shapes. So, and then this, you know, gives the sense of sort of like international icon art. And this is just, I mean, there's some here that just make me go, oh, wow. You know, just in the distillation of an idea, to me, I think is really clever. And there are decks, again, that I've really been enjoying working with, like the Marco Benedetti, like the Lifeline Tarot. You know, are there others? I mean, always Marseille decks, really. But decks that don't have a value judgment necessarily on the card. You know, it gives you something you can work with, but it doesn't make a value judgment based on it. Now, to understand the color combinations, I would recommend, if you don't understand the color combinations, I would recommend doing a little search on your own of the different pride flags and color combinations there are out there, which there are many for different groups and that represent different things that are reflected within these cards. And so I think it can add, for example, the Justice card features the colors of the Trans Pride Parade flag. You know, so I think it's worth kind of considering where those are placed and why, and I think that can offer something for you too. I love this tower, which is very clearly a condom, and it just makes me laugh in a good way. And the star and the moon, the sun, Judgment. It's interesting to have the red ribbon on the Judgment card, and I think, you know, I don't think it's such an obvious association, but I also think the way that history will look at the AIDS crisis, for example, there are a variety of judgment moments and judges who both succeeded and failed in the AIDS epidemic movements. And it's interesting for Judgment to be a card that is depicting the ribbon, because there was the wake-up call of the epidemic. There was the wake-up call of the heartless Reaganite Republican assholes who are supposedly so pro-life as long as it's not a dying homo. You know what I mean? And then the judgments of people like Larry Kramer, you know, and others who sort of refused to be... Larry Kramer's the first name. There were many that came to mind. He was among the loudest white guys out there at the time. But, you know, it's an interesting association for the Judgment card. Here's the World. And then we get into the suits. So here we have, in its traditional suit names, Ace of Swords, Two of Swords. And if you're looking closely, you do see the Rider-Waite-Smith associations in most of the cards, if you're looking, which I think is very, very cool. Like here is this triangle and the circle, and that's the body on the tomb, and then the window with the three swords. You know what I mean? So it's there's these shapes here that suggest humans. And I think that is so, so clever. This suggests the boat. This suggests the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm so interested when people have an ability to take something so iconic and distill it into something really, really, really simple. And to me, it's sort of like, yeah. I mean, when I first looked at this deck, I'm not gonna lie, I thought, oh, it's shapes. But when I watched Casper's video, I realized it's not just shapes. These are really thoughtfully arranged. And in many cases, like ticklingly clever. So again, you know what I mean? The swords behind the back, the figure shape, you know, you can see elements in there. Even in this, you know, it's just a dot with some triangles, but you get that sense of being in, you know, it's like if you're looking at the Eight of Swords from directly above it in the pensmith, you know what I mean? You would see this. And again, so clever. You know, look at this 9. Again, yes, if you're looking very quickly, it is a triangle with a dot and some swords. But it's not. That's the person laying in bed. These are the swords hanging over their heads. You know what I mean? Very smart. And just, again, really, this is why I got it. Aside from the fact that I like that the proceeds do go to Queer Plus charities, or organizations. I shouldn't say charities because I don't assume. So, Page of Swords. And again, there's a human-like figure on this card that you can recognize as, you know, a distillation of a human form in a color palette. Very swordsy. You know, it's the Rainbow Seekers deck, but we have all grays for this one. So here we have the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands. Another thing I'm going to say I like about this deck is that the 2 and 3 of Wands in particular tend to have like very colonial overtones. And this strips that away, really. But do you see, here's the figure looking out. There's the wands. You know, it's not impossible to discover the familiar within this. And to me, boy, is that just delightful. I really just, it gives me goosebumps to think how creative it is to do that. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, it's easy to look at this one on the surface again and sort of see something less than it is. But once you look at it, it's wow. So clever and creative. And that just, again, makes me happy. So, and this is absolutely something I would read with, and something I absolutely could read with easily because it doesn't impose on it. You know what I mean? You get the essence, and if you know your cards, you're gonna sort of remember, oh right, there's that quality. Page Wands, Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands. I actually really love this Queen of Wands. It reminds me of the logo for Amadeus, the movie and the play. And this does too, actually. And here we have the Ace of Cups, Two of Cups. This may be the most literal of the bunch, really. Three of Cups, 4, 5, 6. See how this suggests someone with their arms up? You know, I'm making the gesture like you can see me, and this is the head, and then here are the... Do you know? It's so brilliant, so clever, so creative. I don't know. I really like this a lot for that very reason. And look, you know, oh, like this is just so warming to my heart too, as like a queer person, as a gay man, to sort of see the new, like, version of the pride flag, its most recent iteration, with this family of shapes, which ultimately is sort of all we really are, as shapes. So here's the Page of Cups, Knight of Cups, Queen, and the King. Ace of Pentacles, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, did you hear that? The thunder's moving in. It's been tropical here in the Northeast lately in terms of the weather. It's like we have a storm and it disappears, and comes back. Again, 10 of Pentacles. Just very, very clever. Page. Knight. Whoops. Queen. And King. So them's the cards. I have not shuffled this yet. Now this is that matte thing. People are gonna be like, oh, the little scratch a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, it's cards. It's paper. You know what I mean? But whoa, yeah, that shuffle's great. And it doesn't feel flimsy, even though it's bendy. So that's like a really good thing. It's not like a really good thing. It is a really good thing. I love shuffling. So let me just lay some out. Why not? Let's do it. Let's see. What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Ah, there's that Judgment card. And obviously I didn't shuffle that much, but I love this. I really, really do. It just is very, very cool. Again, so creative, so witty in its way. And, I mean, that's the thing I always admire too, is like visual wit, to be able to achieve something, and I think if you were to use nonlinear spreads, and by nonlinear, I mean spreads where it's not like in a row, which I tend to do. If you were to use maybe shapes like a horseshoe or whatever, there are little sort of gestures in the cards that might, suggest where something or someone is looking or where it's pointing in a reading. But there we go. I really, really like this. I'm very, very pleased with it. I'm very happy it's here. And I will put Henson's page or links below. I'm not sure if I think there's a website, but I don't remember because I ordered this through email. So, and I don't honestly know what the story is in terms of this being available and the length of time. And maybe, if Henson, if you see this, you can leave a comment. But I really just think this is super cool, super exciting. The sticker's going right on my iPad. And the Rainbow Seekers Tarot by Henson Wongai Ham. Love it, love it. Hope you do too. Be well, talk soon, and have a good weekend. It's Friday here.